Hi Buffett, I'm back again with another video. Buffett is your voicing team. Buffett Anyway, Buffett, today's breaking news. The government scraps controversial VAT hike amid significant consumer pushback. Hey Buffett, people fought against this thing. People fought against it. Did you know that VAT was introduced in 1991? I don't know why they introduced it, but the apartheid government, maybe they stole every man, every cent. So the ANC government was broke, and the international money, IMF, and all these world organizations that are Bretton Woods institution, they forced the ANC to pay the apartheid era loans that were made by the apartheid government. So they forced the ANC to pay those loans. So the ANC government had to introduce, the government back then had to introduce VAT. The VAT was introduced in 1991. It was 14% or it was 11% or something like that. So it wasn't something that has always been dead, guys. It isn't something that's natural. VAT can be scrapped, and then we take our minerals and our mines and stuff. We pay for these things. But no, the ANC government is afraid they were overpowered, or they were outplayed in Cordes. They were outplayed, period. They were outsmarted. People saying these people sold out. These people never sold out. Okay, maybe they did sell out. But these people were also outsmarted, outplayed, outmaneuvered. Abu Mandela and the likes. They were out there. They met among scientists, people, the psychologists. White people were way educated than them back then. They had way more power than them. So Spelele Gudla has written an article here. Government scraps controversial VAT hike controversial significant consumer pushback. Finance Minister Ino Kodokwana has announced that the National Treasurer will no longer be implementing the controversial 0.5 percentage. You wanted 2%, guys. Remember, you wanted 2%. You wanted to kill the poor. You guys don't like the poor to you. Just something to be milked. 0.5 percent point increase in the value-added tax VAT from 1 May, which was proposed in the national budget to plug the 58 billion fiscal deficit. His decision marks a significant victory for financially constrained consumers and highlights the government's responsiveness to widespread pushback and legal challenges, even from its own coalition partners within the government of national unity. Godongwana had last month proposed to increase the VAT from 15% to 15.5% from 1 May to 16% a year later. So it was 1% ahead of. After this his budget speech was unexpectedly postponed at the 11th hour in February, when he proposed to increase VAT by once-off 2% points. Instead of Treasury on Thursday said Godongwana will shortly introduce the rates and monetary amounts and the amendments of revenue laws bill, which proposes to maintain the VAT rate at 15%. In a statement, the Treasurer said decision to forego the increase followed extensive consultations with political parties and careful considerations of the recommendations of the parliamentary committees. And it's in the Action SA, you go down to you very slightly, because it was the one who made this increase succeed and possible by voting with it. So now, but they said that the NC must find another alternative. They had hopes that it will not be increased, but they had to vote out for the budgets in order for the country to have the budget approved. The Democratic Alliance, the GNU partner, which filed a court application to interdict the VAT increase on Wednesday, said lawyers acting for the Godongwana had approached its lawyers proposing an out-of-court settlement. These people out of court settlement. This is what is this? This is a criminal case. These mafias, by not increasing VAT, estimated revenue will fall short by around 75 billion over the medium term. Treasury said As a result, Godongwana has returned to the Speaker of the National Assembly to indicate that he was withdrawing the appropriation bill and the division of revenue bill in order to propose expenditure adjustments to cover this shortfall in revenue. Treasury said Parliament will be requesting to adjust expenditure in a manner that ensures that the loss of revenue does not harm South Africa's fiscal sustainability. The decision not to increase VAT means that the main measures to cushion lower income households against potential negative impact of the rate increase now needs to be withdrawn and other expenditure decisions revisited. Treasurer said, I'm just saying this thing because you're saying them. To offset the unavoidable expenditure adjustments, any additional revenue collected by SARS may be considered for this purpose going forward. In order to cushion poor households from the impact of the increasing tax measures, Treasurer had initially proposed to expand the list of VAT zero-rated food items to include edible offal of sheep, poultry, goats, swine, and bovine animals. Specific cuts as heads, feet, bones, and tongues, dairy liquid blend, and tinned or canned vegetable. Yeah, you guys didn't sing. You just want to steal. Though it was estimated that expanding the VAT zero-rated list will cost the VAT government about 2 billion in foregone revenue, analysts had cautioned that the VAT would still be passed through to lower-income households via electricity and transport costs, among others. As a result of scrapping the VAT increase, Treasury said Godongwana would introduce a revised version of the appropriation bill, division of revenue bill, within the next few weeks. The initial proposal for an increase to the VAT increase rate was motivated by the urgent need to resolve and replenish the funding of critical frontline services that had suffered reduction necessitated by the country's constrained fiscal position, it said. There are many suggestions. However, some of them would create greater negative consequences of growth and employment, and some of them, while worthwhile, would not provide an immediate avenue for further revenue in the short term to replace a VAT increase. Treasury will say it will, however, consider these and other proposals as potential amendment in upcoming budget as a mechanism to increase the resources available. That's the end of the article, guys. So what do you think, guys? Do you think this is good news? These are good news, as everyone was against this budget increase except the ANC. Everyone was against this thing. Everyone except the ANC. Now you know who to vote for next time. Please subscribe, guys. This is Mzansi Culture. This is your boys in Team. See you on the next feed.